Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions, and magic.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'll be honest. I've had an ear and sinus infection for over 3 weeks, so I'm a little bit spacey, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just feel ears are ringing all the time, and I feel like I'm in a tunnel. So, yeah.
Maybe I know in the human part of us, there's there's something wrong, like a label for that. But maybe there's also ascension symptoms in there as well.
Yeah.
But I know you don't feel good.
Yeah, well, it's all good. Okay. So we haven't really ever gone into, we have a little bit, but we haven't really ever gone into how did Eden and I each start developing and knowing we had intuitive abilities and step into what we're doing as our purpose now. And, how did we know that we had intuitive abilities? Like, what were some of the signs, and how did we get brave enough to step into doing it, even though it's often looked upon as strange or out there and different? And so I just thought that'd be an interesting topic. And first, I'm going to ask you, Eden. So, what age? Because I want to see. I know you and I have talked a long time ago about a lot of parallel experiences when we were kids, where we saw things or knew things. And although your gifts are different, we had some similarities. And so, what age do you remember first ever having signs like, "Oh, this might not just be my imagination"?
Okay, I was probably a teenager when that happened. And so, a lot of people that listen may already know this story. I've shared it a lot, but I didn't have to question it much because I grew up with a grandmother who was a medium. So it was a normal thing in my family. Although my dad was very against it, didn't believe in it. But she never did share with me, what happened as she started to develop it. And I got scared when I was younger because I thought there was something wrong with me. I often thought there was something wrong with my eyes because I was seeing things. And I was hearing things. I would have like the buzzing in my head. And so it was a lot. But I finally thought, well, this might be actually what my grandmother does, and I should try. And as soon as I did, gave into it, that was it. Rest is history. What about you?
Well, hold on. So you're saying,
okay.
I remember you saying that when you were a kid. I don't know if yours were the same as mine exactly, but when I was a kid, some of the first experiences I had, and I just thought I was weird or crazy.
Yeah.
But I would see colored circles, colored lights above me. And I'd get scared of them. And now I see them and they're orbs. And I don't usually see them very often all at once like I used to, but I see them in segments. I remember a couple of times I've seen them again in groups, but it's just like colors. And I would get scared and run to my parents and have them pop the bubbles because I was afraid to go to sleep, even though they weren't scary and they actually had a warmth energy about them.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. For me, as far as when I was a kid, I didn't sleep very much at night because I was often scared of something. And at that time, it felt like dark, like negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
I know now they were just trying to get my attention. But I just, when we push it away, we don't embrace it, whatever our gifts are. We're always going to feel off, I believe. That happened to me a lot for very many years. But the bubbles, yes, I would see blue lights Sometimes it would be I already had kids at this point. And I was reading a book. Oh, this is what it was. James von Prague.
Mm-hmm.
That medium.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of him? Have you heard?
But I don't really. Yeah.
Okay. A very popular medium. And I was reading his book, and as I was reading his book, I started seeing blue lights on the paper. And or I thought the words turned blue. And I was certain there was something, like I had a brain tumor or something. So I went to the ophthalmologist. I went to a doctor, had this big exam, and he couldn't find anything wrong. And I was like, no, there's something wrong. And I kept insisting, can't you see where the blue comes out of my eyes or something like that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, but there was absolutely nothing wrong. And it was finally telling me, they're trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Well, and I had that like Alice in Wonderland experience where I've had that a few times as an adult, but I had it a lot more as a kid. But I would wake up and it's hard to even explain, but it'd be like everything is really big and I'm really small. And it was like overwhelming. Like it was kind of like I was like in Alice in Wonderland, like it was so trippy, and it would last. So I'd go like, oh my gosh, am I going to stay like this?
So I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if it was on the show or not, but you called it the Alice in Wonderland thing, and I called it seeing far away.
Okay.
Meaning, I think we mean the same thing, though. And that happened my whole childhood. And I thought there was something wrong then, too. And I used to like scream at night, and my parents would come in and I would tell them, I can see far away. And of course, nobody understood me. But I think it's the same thing, because I was small, and then everything was like zoomed out, like, and big. And yeah. And then also I had like vibrating going on at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
I wonder what that actually means. There's got to be something. If we both had it,
we should have looked it up. I actually don't know. I think I probably have looked it up in the past, but it might be just like your awareness and perception is large and strong, and you're able to see far. Like it's like an intuitive thing.
Yeah. So listen, anybody who's listening to the show, tell us, reach out to us. Because otherwise we're just crazy. But I don't think we are. Has this happened to you guys?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
And another thing, like my mom and I both have always made lights go out when we're feeling stressed or tired. And it's like street lights, sometimes even a whole business light. Right when we're walking by or driving by, it'll go out, and I'll feel it. Like I can actually feel the energy. Mm-hmm. And my mom had it when I was young. So I always was like, oh my gosh, Mom, you're so weird. And then I started having it when I was like 20 something, and I still have it. And my holistic doctor mentor that I used to go to, he would say that some people have that. And what it is you're draining electrokinetic energy you need from the light.
Whoa.
And I guess it's kind of similar, though. A lot of people listening would have experiences of like Mercury retrograde, computers crashing, or dishwashers breaking, and that can also be kind of similar. It's like the energy is too strong going on between you and the universe and the planets, and But to answer your question,
yes. Yeah, go.
Your question. So I didn't realize completely that I was intuitive until I think I was almost 30. But I started to notice things, but I would go like, oh, that's weird. How do I know that? Like even the way that I met Edwin, I remember looking in the mirror that night going, if I meet someone tonight, I'm like meant to be with them. Like I had this feeling, even though I didn't even want to. I had just had a breakup. I didn't want to date anyone. I didn't think I did. And then I met him. And so I would have things like that all the time. And so even when I joined the Vegan Vixens, when I used to be in this rock group, modeling group thing, I was like, a year before, I was like, there's going to be something when I'm 30 years old that's entertainment mixed with vegan. And it happened like right when I said it was going to happen. And so that mentor I was talking about was like, you could be doing oracle card readings. You have that in you where you could like get messages mixed with the cards and use your energy with the cards. And so I had already been studying stuff since I was like 22, just interested in spirituality and metaphysics and things like that. And so I bought some oracle cards and I started doing it for fun. It ended up being very accurate. And then I started doing it for lots of people. And it ended up being where I would do life coaching mixed in with the card readings and really helping a lot of people. And then I just started to realize like my intuition isn't made up, like it's true, because it's coming out that these people are saying that did happen on that date, or that thing you said would, work out for me. It worked out exactly like you said, or the cards said. And so it helped me to have that confirmation. And so I ended up getting some certifications in NLP and hypnotherapy and life coaching. And so then I just opened everything up in 2010, where I was like, I'm doing readings, I'm doing coaching. It led to speaking. But I don't feel like I came out of the closet all the way with the readings till like maybe 2014. It took me a while to feel all the way comfortable, because I was like, oh, this is still looked upon. I had the idea it was looked upon as weird, but then I can honestly say, and I know you can say this too, for our podcast and for my own business, I've literally never, I think I've had like 2 negative like feedback comments or letters ever, never for our podcast. For me, I've had a couple like strange people that came to my workshops or something like that years ago, but overall, I've had all positive feedback.
Well, I think I could say the same too, but I think that has to do with, well, my belief is that it's because if you answer your calling, that inner knowing that you have, and you follow through with it, then you can't go wrong. You will attract the right people, but sometimes we attract people who are not aligned with us, and it's for a lesson. It's there's a greater lesson in that. But I have too. I've had a handful of people who they say like it was a terrible reading. But then it turns out that like a couple years later, they'll reach back out to me and say, everything you said happened. Yeah. But yeah, it's not fun though to get that.
No. I've been blessed, and the same thing. I think I only attract like what I'm meant to attract. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's a test. Like one time I did a workshop at this like place that had women's events. And all these people in the audience were there. It was like 50 people, and it was like a goal setting workshop. And I thought it went great. People were coming up to me after like, oh, that was so amazing. And the night ends, I'm all on this big high. And I look in my purse, and there was a folded up note. And someone had written the most gross, like mean note, like, oh, you need speaking lessons and your makeup is ugly, and like just weird like stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay. And so the thing, it was not so much the note, because I'm kind of like, all right, I already know who I am. What scared and bothered me was that I'm like, I thought I knew who everyone was in this audience. So I remember I went through the whole list of 50 people going, for sure it can't be these 30. Okay. And I like narrowed it down. And then I had to let it go, because I'm like, what am I going to do? Call these people and go, did you send this note? Like, and so I had to just let it go. But it was a lesson. Do you wonder who it was still? No, because I don't even remember who those people were. So I'm like, I don't know. I just like I don't really get bothered by that, as long as I'm not in danger or something. And as long as it's not everyone saying that. Because I feel like it was their mirror. Like we often mirror, what, like someone might be mean or catty to you because they're feeling not good enough, and your light scares them.
Yeah, I had a time, if we're going to go there, why not? I had a client that was stalking me. And it was scary enough. And I don't even know if my kids know this. I kept it from them.
Well, Skylar, now.
They were little. It was probably like 8 or 9 years ago. But she used to come for readings a lot. And Skylar just texted me.
I did not.
She did not know.
You're
All
in
right.
trouble.
Well, here's a little bomb drop for you, girl.
Oh no.
So it was in the last house I lived in, and she scared me a little bit, like when she was having her readings, because she had some like kind of an intense reaction, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, especially back then. I was no, I had been doing it for a few years, but not. I didn't feel fully confident yet. So I kept kind of trying to discourage her from coming so often. When I did that, she got worse, and she would like there was a time that we were out one night and we drove back into our garage, and I saw she was sitting in front of the house.
Oh my God.
And then I had the kids go in, and I see, next thing I know, she walks up to us and she's like, "Here, I brought you something." So
no.
she made me, and she didn't buy it. She made me some weird thing. So that was like, I can't, not food. It was like a doll. It's like a doll or something. Yeah. Yeah. I threw it away immediately, but, I tried, it was a very sensitive situation. And then I ended up calling her husband, and, I asked around to some, professionals, like, what would you do if this happened? And it really felt like she needed more help than what I was able to provide. And she was like in crisis. And so the husband agreed with that I'm going to tell her to stop coming. And she really he was trying to get her to check into an institution. Like there was really literally something like a diagnosis going on. So I let her know I can't see her anymore. He advised me. Her husband's like, "I give you permission. Tell her you can't talk to her anymore." But she kept calling, and she kept showing up. She kept coming to my house, and things like that. And so we ended up moving. And the girls might remember this, that I told them at that time, don't post our house. I don't want anyone to know where we live, and that was why.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
did you finally lose touch with her?
Eventually what happened was I had to call sheriffs and ask what they thought I should do. And they said to give her information about I guess our office, and tell her that we are going to be in contact with her because you reported it. And then she stopped.
Oh my God. Thank God. This is scary.
Yeah, I know.
Ay. It's like what celebrities go through.
Yeah.
You hear about that. And I'm like, that's so awful. I have a question about becoming a medium, but I have to go off on a tangent for a second. Because your story, it's so funny because it all ties back to 90210 again. But your story reminded me of a guy who was a stalker to me. So I met this guy working on 90210. He was an extra and he was really good looking. And so I was like, oh, he wants to go on a date with me. And I was single. I was young, like 19. And so we went on a couple of dates, and he was so like, even though he was really good looking, he was so like, "I love you and I want to see you all the time." Like already after only like a date or two. And I was like scared of that. I was like, oh, okay, that's like too much. I don't want that right now. We just met. And so I remember I kind of was like, okay, I'm going to just avoid him and not go out with him again. And so I go out with some other guy that I met, and the guy's coming back to drop me off. And all of a sudden I see this van, and I see in the van the guy that I had met on 90210. And he was watching us. And then he saw that I saw him. He panned out really fast. Mm. And I get back, so I say bye. I get into my room. Back then there was answering machines. And I look, and there's like 24 messages. And I check, and it's him going, "Oh, I'm waiting. I'm down the street. I wanted to see you. I wanted to see if I could come see you." And it just kept going. Like the movie, there's a movie, The Cable Guy, with Jim Carrey, where Jim Carrey does that to Matthew Broderick. He's like, "Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Where are you?" And so he ended up finally like leaving me alone. But then we got placed to work on 90210 again together, and they wanted us to kiss in a scene.
Oh no.
I was like, nope, I'm not doing it, because that's going to lead to this starting all over again. But anyway, that's my mini stalker story.
Well, you have one too. But
Not
and
quite as scary.
as I was talking about mine, I was thinking like, what kind of I don't know if it's a hypocritical move, but now I have this podcast and I'm out there, I'm not hidden anymore. So anyone could find us.
I know. It's just divine protection.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're way more connected to that right now. I was going to ask you though, like about being a medium. When did you, like, what is it that you felt to know that you felt like you were in your purpose and your calling? Like, how did you know, like, oh, I have to do this, it's part of me?
When I kept struggling to find something to do with myself, and it wasn't, and everything like I tried didn't work. Like something would happen where like it didn't work out because like they didn't hire me, or because I didn't like it. It didn't feel right. And I didn't know back then to listen to my intuition or my higher self on, how to make a decision. So I just was all about money, like I got to bring in money for the family. I need to contribute. But everything, like I said, everything I tried just kind of didn't work itself out. And so that's the universe kind of telling you need to do something, do the right thing. So, and then when I still didn't think about it. And I think I've told the story before, but long story short, my sister asked me to do a reading for someone, and I hesitated, but I did it. It worked out great. And then I think I was sitting there with Skylar, and she's the one that said to me, and I don't know if she remembers saying this, but she's like, Mom, after that whole 2 hours of working with this person, doing a reading and how it turned out, you need to do more of this. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So that was really my daughter that told me. So I finally listened, and I know, and I still to this day don't have the words to describe the feeling, but it's like this inner knowing and this feeling of like, I'm finally on the path I'm meant to be on. Like I finally feel like myself. It just felt so right to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you feel like this podcast has helped you even more be comfortable with who you are?
I don't know if I will ever want ever feel comfortable with like being this out there, like, but I do it anyways because it's there's a higher purpose in doing it. So,
right.
Because yes. So it's not so much about me, what we're doing. I think that's the way I like to look at it. But I do feel more comfortable in my own skin and more confident just because I'm, I've done something that's way out of my comfort zone and I've achieved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I bet you have a different answer to that question.
I mean, I think I'm the same as you. It's like, I'm just wanting to put out inspirational stuff and helping people as much as I can. And then I think just the only thing I would say is that I already was really like up there, like, 90% comfortable and confident with who I am. But I think that it helped that last 10% of just me talking about anything and everything to get to a place of just like, okay, who cares? Like, I'm just being me completely, Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah. And it'll be 4 years. So that's crazy that we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah. And I know that when we first started, I was 0% comfortable.
Yeah. I was comfortable, but I was like, I don't know if I really want to podcast. And then look at like how long it's been.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know.
But yeah, with knowing your own purpose, I agree with you that it's this knowing. It was like I was in other professions. Like I was in this profession of teaching special ed, and working with adults with behavior issues that had developmental disabilities. And then I even was doing entertainment stuff, and I was producing some shows that were like close to getting picked up. And I just suddenly was like, had such a strong knowing of like, you're supposed to not be focused on any of this other stuff. And you're supposed to launch your business as a coach and an intuitive. And so I remember I put it out there as a life coach and was kind of like, am I supposed to be doing this other than a hobby, other than on the side? And right away, within like a day, I got 2 clients. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember going, whoa, okay, I'm going to need all these notes because this is new to me and I'm not used to doing this. As I looked at it different because it was like as a profession that I'm getting paid for.
Yeah.
But it always felt right. Like,
yeah,
I feel aligned. Like I always say, does it feel like part of your heart and soul?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I hope everyone out there will be able to find that feeling in whatever it is you either choose to do or your higher self tells you to do, guides you to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a great feeling.
Right. And to close out about that is someone who's been on the show in the past, Alex Ramon, magician. He was on the show like a year and a half ago. He posted a video the other day about, yes, do stuff that feels like play, do stuff that's so passionate that, it's like a bonus that you're getting paid for it and it doesn't feel like work. But he says, let's get real here. He goes, I do my purpose and it feels like passion and play and excited. But he goes, of course there's work. Sometimes I have long days. Sometimes I have to, do certain things on social media or billing. There's tasks sometimes with whatever you do that might not feel like play. So when you're figuring it out, go, but what do I get really excited about, even if I have to do those tasks?
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.